Welcome to Use Your Words podcast. This week, we talk about what's the difference between pleasure and happiness. What is the definition of selfishness? Should you do whatever you want to be happy? And Josh, of course, goes off on a tangent about environmentalism, electric bikes, and electric vehicles. Join us and let's get started. Welcome to Use Your Words podcast, where we believe in intelligently spoken conversations. So, you know, and I will admit, like I said, I can talk or not. Yeah, or not. And I tend to have more of those days than I care to admit, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And Aaron tends to have more of those days where he's just sitting here like, and not being energetic than he cares to probably admit as well. Don't you, Mr. Johnson?
No.
No?
No.
Are you going to be energetic and full of life today?
Maybe.
Maybe?
Maybe.
All right.
I get a good meal in front of me.
Get a good meal in front of you?
Yes.
Oh, you didn't tell me I got to play housekeeper and cook for you today.
Yes. Always.
Always?
You better didn't have the camping grill in the truck.
Wait, what?
I removed the camping grill out of the truck a month ago. I should have left it there. Then when I could have brought it in, we could have been grilling.
Yeah, and talking at the same time.
Grilling and talking and then dying of carbon monoxide. That'd be great.
That would be fine.
That, or if you want to give Aaron a beard trim, you just put him over while you're lighting the propane.
What? That reminds... Okay, I know this is off topic, and I'm letting Josh take me off topic, and I shouldn't. But that reminds me of a video where...
Josh, document this.
Where a woman, she was blowing out some candles on her cake, and people came up with silly string and sprayed her, and it lit her entire head on fire. Oh, all of her hair just went up, and she had long hair past her shoulder and everything. It just went up in flames, and it was, to be fair,
smelled awful.
It was hilarious to watch. So I would love to see that happen to you, Mr. Johnson.
No.
I would love to see you running around in a panic with your facial hair on fire.
I probably wouldn't do that, though.
Okay.
So I guess now we know how we can, in the movies where they spray something on the door and then they light it and it blows it up. I guess that's the civilian version of that. Just take some silly string and spray Aaron's car with it and just light it. Watch his car burn.
Cool.
Well, I didn't say anything about his car. I said his facial hair because that would make me happy, and I should do it because it just makes me happy. Right, Aaron?
Schadenfreude.
Yeah, you should do that.
Come on, Aaron, take us off.
Oh my gosh! Wow, good one.
I will always find a way to transition it.
Oh my gosh! So yeah, that's what we're talking about today, folks. Something that annoys me as well. A lot of things annoy me. But one thing I always see, especially on social media, is do whatever makes you happy. That's all that really matters. Just do what makes you happy. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. That's irritating, and that's not good. I don't think so, at least.
Okay, before we get into what me and Josh think of that, I have a question.
Oh, no. What?
Why is it irritating to you?
Why is it irritating?
Yeah. Why did you go off and start and say it irritates you?
Because what makes people happy is stupid. Just kidding. Not true.
Really? Because metal music makes you happy?
It does make me happy.
So is metal music stupid?
Metal music is stupid, but it's great.
No, but I
Yeah. No.
Okay, so go on. I don't want to interrupt.
No, you're good. No, I don't know. It's just, I just feel like that's a bad mentality, I guess. And I don't know. I mean, everybody has different views, obviously, on what makes them happy. It's just, what if somebody has something that makes them happy, but then it makes you unhappy? Do you want to tell them, just do whatever makes you happy? Because then you're not going to be happy. So what are you going to do to make you happy? And then friendships go down the drain, and it's like, okay, bye.
Okay, so that's one extreme of it.
Yes.
What about... And Josh, you can chime in on this one too. What about the extreme where necessarily doesn't, maybe you're doing something that doesn't make me unhappy? Let's say, okay, staying in this realm of do whatever makes you happy. Yes. What makes you happy, Johnson? What makes you happy, Josh, is you do cocaine together?
Hey, I could probably go for some of that right now. Just kidding.
Wow.
Give me a good wake up real quick.
Yeah, that would wake you up. But I mean, is that then still, because that at that point in this fictional world, both of you are doing what makes you happy, and it's not a contradictory to one another. So you're not having an argument. You're not making each other sad. You know, and we're taking this into like where you're constrained to where you're in a universe where it's just you and Josh living in this universe where you both are doing cocaine, so you both are happy. Is that right?
I mean, if it's just us, if Josh and I are both, I guess, our own creators.
You're not your own. You're not your own creators. You're somehow isolated in your own. Like some mad scientist came along and threw you two into a universe together, and you two are the only ones in there with an unlimited supply of cocaine.
I guess
we're the only two on Pluto.
There you go.
Everybody is disowned us, taking us off the map as a planet.
I mean, I guess it wouldn't matter then.
Really? Even all the detrimental effects of cocaine?
Well, so that's the only thing that's going to have. But if we don't care, then what does it matter? We're just going to kill ourselves quicker. It's fine.
So then that actually kind of goes against your irritableness with it then.
I think the bigger thing, and I haven't said this in a while, okay? Do we actually have an actual definition for happy?
Oh my gosh.
Seriously. Because
all right, go off.
No. It's a question right now. Do we actually have something that defines what happiness is? Because as of right now, we're rewriting what success is. According to the dictionary, success is based on power, riches, and now we're doing it based on goals and achievements you have in life, which is kind of what we've all kind of seen. Being successful is you accomplishing things you want to accomplish. But the dictionary is rewriting it to be something else now. So then you got happy. Okay, the definition of happy is feeling or showing pleasure or contentment. Okay,
yeah,
that doesn't really tell us anything of happy. It just tells us other characteristics.
Well, there's also an and I pulled this up as well, just so I could have this up here. There's also the informal definition of happy, which is probably more used in society than anything, which is a use of a specific thing excessively or at random. So it makes me happy to play a video game,
Now, in happy definition, okay, I'm going off of what you just said there. It says showing pleasure or contentment.
Mm-hmm.
Pleasure definition, a feeling of happy satisfaction and enjoyment. So pleasure and happy both keep pointing at each other.
You got circular definitions, yeah.
And then if you go to contentment, a state of happiness and satisfaction.
Yep.
So it's like everything just points back to each other. So what is happiness?
Well, if you go back to Old English, actually one of the earlier definitions is lucky.
Is lucky.
Yeah. So if you look at the origin of it, it comes from the English hap and -y, which in Middle English is lucky.
So if you're happy, you're pretty much lucky to be alive.
And you know it, clap your hands. But what's also interesting, just because you're asking this definition of happy, I pulled this up here, and the use over time for the word happy has actually gone down since the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of getting into the nitty gritty of the definition of happy. Let's get back to this situation where you two are on Pluto or in your own universe, just doing cocaine. Okay, you know what cocaine does to you. Okay,
I don't. But let's say
okay. Let's take this to another world. Let's say there's a thing called death sticks. From Star Wars.
What?
That. Basically, they're like their version of like cigarettes and that, but they get you addicted and everything. And they have other, besides what we have in our world with cigarettes and that, they have other, detriments to them. Okay. Hence why death sticks. Okay. And let's say in this fictional world, after you smoke 1,000 of them, you're going to die. Okay. You two are stuck in a fictional Pluto in this fictional world. It's just you two. You're happy with smoking them. That doesn't cause a rift between you two, but you smoke them. Is that still okay to do? Because that's making you happy.
Yes. No, it's not.
No.
Okay. Well,
I guess that's the only thing, though, is if it's just,
no,
if it's just us, nobody else cares about us besides each other. So what if we both smoke our last death stick together, and then we'll live and die together.
Oh.
That'll make me happy.
And then as we both keel over, you cough, you wake up and realize that
What?
you're still alive, and you just
No.
burn through the last death stick, and then there I lay dead. They start to shrivel up.
I can take more than you can.
Wow.
Just like alcohol.
Well,
But I
you have a
bring
bigger filter.
I do.
I bring that up because of the fact that, if it's not acceptable in a microcosm like that of one-on-one, how is that acceptable then in the macrocosm where you have you and everyone else? Where Aaron was going earlier, where he said, where people will do something maybe in an interpersonal relationship and cause that relationship then to crumble because one person is doing whatever they want to make them happy.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all guilty of doing that every once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
None of us are innocent on that. Young, old, crippled, not crippled, it happens. But why do we do that sort of thing, I guess is my question. And yes, it makes us feel pleasure, as Josh was kind of getting at with the definition there. It makes us feel pleasure in that, but why else do we maybe do that stuff? That stuff that makes us temporarily happy.
I would not say it's actually happiness then. I would say it's more along the lines of immediate pleasure. I want to say that happiness is more of a state than it is a thing.
Okay.
So you play video games. You're pleasuring. You want to go the scientific route. You're pleasuring the certain neurons and things in your brain that activate based on what you're seeing or feeling or doing. Regardless of what that's going to be, it's pleasure.
Right.
Because you are satisfying yourself with something. Happiness, to me, is a state of being, a state of knowing, in my opinion.
So what would make you happy?
What would make me happy?
Yeah.
What would make me happy? That's a very good question. Because can you ultimately be happy without having anything that makes you unhappy?
What?
I think I'm messing with him today.
You're going for the can there be light without the dark arguments on that.
Sort of.
Can there be happiness without unhappiness?
Happiness to me is not having to live in a world where there is as much pain as there is.
Oh.
Happiness to me is knowing that I'm with someone that has their eyes set on God just like me.
Hmm.
Happiness to me is knowing that what I'm doing is fulfilling a greater good than just for myself today.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and if you even look at things when they say, oh, how to become happy or steps to become happy, a lot of the things that they're telling you to do revolve around the lines of not being about you, giving up materialistic items, looking how to help people, that kind of stuff that just makes you feel better about yourself. And that's where I say happiness is more of a mind, a state of being, knowing that what you are doing is serving something else in a positive way.
Okay. So we got from this little brief here, pleasure versus happiness, happiness being the more longer term, pleasure being the shorter term. What else is different between the two of them? What else is any idea?
Mm-mm.
No idea.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, there's a chemical difference in the brain on which one of the two is activated. So for pleasure, like playing video games, drinking alcohol, stuff like that, that's a dopamine hit, which, we're all familiar with as the kind of that pleasure drug in the brain, which has that, it has both positive and negative self cycles where, if Aaron eats an ice cream cone, he enjoys it. So he's going to eat another one because he enjoys it. It just feeds on him. or he has a drink and he likes it. So he has another drink, it just keeps feeding on itself.
Then my body gives out.
Yeah, I know. But, that leads to things like, addictions. It's weird to think, Aaron could be addicted to ice cream cones, but he's not really addicted to ice cream cones. He's addicted to the dopamine hit that he gets from the ice cream cone. It's the same for like people who are thrill seekers. They're addicted to that hit that they get, that rush. That's why you can have addictions for basically anything out there. You can have addictions, not only to drugs, but, to sex, to food, weird.
Hoarding.
What was that last one?
Hoarding.
Hoarding, yes. Yep. Hoarding, definitely. Material possessions and just having it. Whereas happiness, that long-term thing, that's a serotonin thing comparatively. So that's a different chemical completely in the brain. And that has more to do with what in your brain? The dopamine, long-term. We talked about this in May. What did we talk about? I don't remember
what I did last week.
What did we talk about in May?
We talked about the whole mental stuff.
Mental health.
Yes.
So what does serotonin play in it? It plays...
Yes.
Josh, do you remember?
Serotonin. No.
It plays... Whoops. It plays a part in that mental, emotional stability in people. Keeping them from being depressed because it's like a mood chemical, but it keeps you long term being able to feel normal and in good spirits. And so this happiness with this long term thing not being fulfilled by pleasure. Now, don't get me wrong, you can get a boost to your immediate mood through whatever, from the pleasure, from the dopamine and that. But the happiness is going to be that long term. It's that serotonin. It's that thing that's going to keep you going. And it's going to be, you can be happy in the midst of utter tragedy, which sounds contradictory. You cannot be pleasured in the midst of utter tragedy.
I mean, that makes total sense. Happiness can also come to the platform of how you choose to look at something. If you choose, like you said, in a moment of tragedy, you look at the positive outcomes, and some people are like, oh, how can you look at something positive out of something sad? And it's like, well, just like some people who say, things don't happen for a reason, yet don't believe in God. And then you have people who go, well, history repeats itself. Okay, well, yes. Is there a time to be sad? Yes. Is there a time to think forward? Yes.
Starting to go into Ecclesiastes over there.
I'm not. To be honest, I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah. But I guess I was.
Yeah. There's a time for everything.
Yes, there is.
But back to the main topic is should we do things that make us happy for the sake of it making us happy? Would really come down to what we define as happy again. Because if we define happy as more of a pleasurable thing and something that gives us immediate satisfaction, then what we are doing is we are opening up a can of worms that is going to bump into other people's happiness or immediate pleasures. Trying to make it so that we can do things. For example, if I want to go out to the parking lot right now and start drifting around in my truck, and Paul wants to leave, and Paul hits me, well, then Paul just ran into my immediate pleasure. That's not happiness. That's pleasure. I mean, this is a weird scenario. I know, but it's just kind of.
My Prius would be destroyed.
I would probably knock your Prius into the parking lot next to us.
Yeah.
Which would be quite entertaining to see if that actually would happen.
Yeah, we're not playing baseball with my car. Sorry. Or soccer.
Or golf. 4!
No.
Into the creek parking lot.
But yeah, so yeah, what that does, like you're saying, that does beg the question, is what we're doing going towards that long-term happiness or that short-term immediate pleasure, and yeah, like you're saying, you spinning around gives you that temporary pleasure.
Yeah,
that it's temporary because it's immediate. Because once you're done, guess what? There goes that feeling. There goes that joy you were feeling for that little bit of time, and then you're back to the mundanity of life. Mundane life, yay,
right? But from how I hear people I know talk about happiness, in their minds, happiness is something that gives them immediate pleasure. And a lot of people reserve the word pleasure, just around the topic of sex is where I hear the word pleasure used the most. And that's not the only place, but it is also a place that it gets used. But even pleasure is more of a selfish thing too. It's more of what you can get out of the situation. Mm-hmm. And if, as Americans, we're using happiness, we're using that word to try to make it look as innocent as possible, but yet what we're ultimately doing is pleasurable things, then we are all being selfish for nothing. We're just being selfish for ourselves, and we're not contributing, we're not advancing, we're not doing anything. It's just, I want to be happy, I want to do this, and you can't tell me what I cannot do when I do, yada, yada, yada. Well, you're being selfish just to get you a little bit of something. That's all. And if that's the route as us Americans take things, then that is definitely going against a yes for the question of the day. Oh my gosh, I can't even say the question of the day. Is doing things that make us happy for the sake of it making us happy okay? That would be no. If it's revolving around the lines of pleasure. But if it's revolving around the lines of happiness to where it's a long-term goal, usually when that's the case, people build up. People build things up. People reconstruct things. Even if it's not a moral area, but if it's something that gives you immediate pleasure, like you were saying, it's a dopamine hit.
Right.
You're going to want that same thing again and again. But if you have more of a serotonin thing, you're going to be brighter for a longer end outcome that you might not have right away. Yeah. What do you think, Aaron?
Well, I was also, because the whole selfishness thing, that's where I was wondering, is like, where do you draw the line of, is it just being happy or is it just being selfish? And then the other thing was joy versus happiness. Because joy, from, I don't know what I was just reading a little bit, is more of a consistent, just long, like you just have it within you, and happiness just kind of happens. So, because those are also different. I wish I could remember what this guy at our church would say. It was about like the difference between happiness and joy.
Yeah, I know. I know kind of where that line of that one is going, where, like, especially in the Christian circle, they say happiness is kind of that emotional side of things where you feel that, that almost, think of it as that the pleasure almost, where that joy, though, is that contentment that you find in your relationship with God, in that, in that peace that you find in that, even through the troubled times.
Yeah. So, because that was literally what you were just saying, versus happiness versus pleasure.
Yeah, and so that's what I say. It kind of, they kind of intertwine, especially when you start bringing spiritual type and churchy language into it.
Well, it doesn't even have to be that.
I know, but so if we think of it as pleasure versus happiness, so instead of joy versus happiness, think of it as happiness versus pleasure. Joy being the happiness being the pleasure. Yeah. Wow, that's confusing, right?
No.
But where do we draw the line? Selfishness. Where do you draw the line? Selfishness there, Mr. Johnson?
I mean, it's just where you're doing stuff for your own gain, I guess. Whatever makes you feel good. It doesn't matter how it affects other people.
And to say the word selfish is just in its own. There's no gray area with selfishness. It's either for your own gain. That's it. Selfish isn't at all. It's like, are you selfish for Aaron? Are you selfish for Paul? Are you selfish for? No. It's selfish. It's selfish. Selfish has one area. It's not black and white. There's no gray. It's for your own gain. Now, how much for your own gain?
Right.
That can be where the gray area lies. I can see Aaron being selfish to an extent to where it gives him a feeling of security, but not to the point where it gives him a feeling of total control. See where I'm coming with that?
Sure.
So let's say in a conversation you're talking with friends, somebody might want to feel complete control over the conversation. So they interrupt people, they go above people, they talk louder, they undermine people by bringing up some past points as jokes or, okay, in a conversation, okay? So being selfish, you could want total control. Is that too much selfishness? Or is just having enough selfishness to where you have a level of feeling of security? So you make yourself sound like you know what you're talking about, even though you don't, so you don't get made fun of. So it's just a conversation example. Let's say when it comes to finances is an easier one to think about. Okay, so do you work your butt off to the point where you're working 60 hours a week, you're making so much money, but then you don't have any time for your family? Or are you selfish to the point to where you do what you need to make ends meet so that you can
I wouldn't say that's being selfish at that point.
Well, no, but yes. Because if you're choosing to make more money than what you need to make for the sake of feeling financially secured, but then you're neglecting the fact that you have a family at home that you should be a part of too, then that is a very that's definition of selfish right there. Now, this is where I'm saying the gray area is you can choose to put your family before your job and just do what you need to do.
So that wouldn't be being selfish. That would just be showing love.
Again, this is where we come into a conflict of definition. But I was just kind of trying to paint a different picture. But I agree. I totally agree with you. Where your priorities are will define where you are selfishly. Because everybody's selfish. No definition about that.
Easily. It's what we tend to do.
Where you sit at a traffic light can define if you're selfish or not. If you're that guy that likes to hot dog everybody to the front so he can race, or if you're that guy that likes to hot dog in front of everybody so he can go 5 miles under the speed limit, well, yeah.
So the one thing that always gets me about drivers is when it's a 3-lane road and then it merges down in perfect example of Highway 20. When you go past Case, it's 3 lanes, but then when you hit that bridge, it goes down to 2 lanes. So whenever you ever get to the red light, and you always have that guy that wants to go all the way to the right to be first so he can zip out, that just irritates me.
Speaking of that similar scenario, okay, whenever you're on the highway.
That does not make me happy.
Highway, 3 lanes, 4 lanes, right? And there's a sign that clearly says to merge. And you go, and if I wait till I get all the way out to the end, people tend to not pay attention because they're more focused on going. The reason why they tell you, for all of those who do this, which I think one person in particular we probably know does, when it says merge, you merge. You don't go all the way down because that's what causes traffic to slow down.
Well, doesn't make it any better.
I've actually seen a lot of up in more downtown Milwaukee area. They say merge in 1 mile, and the 1 mile is when the construction starts.
Yeah.
They want you to merge at the last possible moment.
They want you to merge?
Yeah. Zipper merge.
Weird.
See, I've always seen it as you merge prior and you keep that traffic flow of 2 lanes consistent.
Not all the places. I said in downtown Milwaukee, they have that where it's like they want you to zipper merge the last minute because actually studies have shown if you zipper merge, it's actually faster than merging into 2 lanes at a mile before out.
What?
Because you can keep all the traffic flowing. But not everyone doesn't do the zipper merge correctly, so it causes slowdowns, blah, blah, blah. But
accidents and
that's beyond the point right now.
Road rage.
A lot of road rage.
Yeah.
And then you have those hot shots on either the motorcycles or if there's enough room on the side, the fancy cars, or it doesn't have to be fancy. It can be anything, I guess. But that just shoot down the shoulder and think they're special. And
they're being selfish.
Yeah.
I forget.
They're bringing pleasure to themselves, not happiness.
Yeah, see, they're happy.
No, they're pleasured.
They're happy.
How are they happy? How are
they're
they long?
Happy because they're getting somewhere quicker.
Yeah, but that remember what our definition
gives them more time.
What are our
to
definitions
spend with whatever they're doing, so they're happier longer.
See, I laugh because a lot of times when I see those people go on the shoulder, I end up passing them later on.
We didn't remember the dude on the way to Ohio.
Anyways, now if he's a doctor and he's trying to get to a hospital to perform a surgery, I can't be mad at that, especially if he's trying to save someone's life. But if that's the case, then he needs to have lights.
No, that'd be illegal.
They probably have enough surgeons in that to at least keep the patient alive until they get there. If they're a specialist that they're one of the few people that can do something, they probably have enough people to keep the patient at least alive until they get there.
You would hope so.
Yeah, I'm not saying people to do the surgery. I'm saying just to keep them alive, and stable.
Yeah,
but
that's very bleeding out of his ears. Plug him.
What? Sorry.
Anyway,
science. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Drawing the lines of selfishness.
Yeah, I feel like that's what it comes down to be more. Is it's just people being selfish instead of making them. Well, which I mean, no, I don't know. I mean, being selfish could make you happy if that is what makes you happy.
Then you can kind of have the area of contentment. Being okay with something, and a lot of people, an area to go right into would be politics. A lot of people are done being content with certain issues. So then it becomes a line of, okay, what should you and should you not be be content with? Then you have the thing of, well, if it impacts someone's life, should you be allowed to do it? Because technically everything impacts someone's life. Not everything.
No, yeah.
But let's say in your apartment complex, you want to go home and you want to play guitar. You crank that up, well, you're impacting the rooms around you. But
Potentially. Yeah.
if they get mad and you have to crank it down, well, now they're keeping you from feeling like you're living at a concert. So then that's where a thing of where do you have to find yourself being okay with something? What's is too much selfish? What's the definition of happiness? Or back to square one?
I don't know if we're back to square one.
Okay, maybe square two.
Because at that point, in your example, I would be like, okay, that's common decency. If you're living in an apartment complex, you don't crank your amp up loud. You keep it low.
At least at night.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's like
whatever.
If it's the middle of the day and all your neighbors are gone, crank it.
Well, I wouldn't even say that. It all depends on your relationship with your neighbors and what they allow and don't allow.
Yeah, that's true. And they say, hey, I'm totally cool with you cranking it because I'm not here at this time. But when I'm home, if you can keep it down.
If that's what the case is.
And that's that area where it comes back to selfishness. Where do you honor someone's request that could be...
Is there any time when being selfish is good and okay?
I wouldn't think so.
I didn't know if you were going to go, yeah. I thought you were going to do that. So I was like, point that Aaron. Let's see what he has to say.
Josh?
I'm trying to think. I'm thinking all through the times. Just trying to think if there's any good time for me to be selfish.
But would that be being selfish?
No, here's my question.
I don't know. What?
When you think back and you try to decide on the different events that has happened in your life, now whether or not selfishness was a good thing, you can only base it on the word yes because you know the ending outcome.
Well, okay, think of hypothetical situations. Are there any good reasons to be selfish? I can think of one in particular, but go on.
I would say no, but let's hear yours.
Johnson, can you think of any reason why it would be good?
Okay, well, I'm just wondering if this would be being considered selfish or not.
Okay.
So you'll help, let's say, I don't know, you're just like constantly going out of your way to help people, help them with whatever it is, I don't care.
Right.
But then at some point you're so burnt out where you can't do it. So you take time to just rest for yourself and rejuvenate yourself. I wouldn't say that's selfish.
No, I wouldn't either.
No, that's unselfish.
So
because we all need to recharge our batteries.
Let me rephrase that. It is selfish, but it's good selfish.
See, that's where
and that's where the hard thing is being.
You're just being loving to others because then you're not doing something half-heartedly.
That's one of those instances where you have to be selfish in order for you to be healthy.
You just said that's not considered being selfish.
I take it back. Like originally I did say, no, that's not. And then I said, no, that is selfish. So yes, it's selfish, but it's a good selfish. And that's the instance I was thinking of.
Okay.
Because
that would fall in line of one's own personal pleasure at that point.
Well, no, not necessarily.
That's not doing that.
What that's falling under is that you need to rest. You have been burning the candle on both ends because you've been, helping Josh, change his muffler 3 weeks in a row every night for 3 hours.
That'd be one stuck muffler then, made out of cement.
Something like that. And then, we finally go, you know what? No, we need a night off for our own mental health sake, for our own energy to replenish and rejuvenate. Yes, it's selfish, but at the same time, it's also right. It's not harming you.
I wouldn't consider that being selfish.
It is because I'm telling you no, even though you're asking for assistance.
Hang on, Paul. Let's not get ahead of here.
When's a loving thing to say no?
Let's not get ahead of here.
This is just gonna be 2 in 1.
Just looking at the dictionary, word of selfish, it's of a person, action, or motive. Okay, of those 3 things, that is lacking consideration for others, concerned chiefly with one's own personal profit or pleasure. So that's where I can see it fall along the lines of one's own pleasure. But at the same time, it is a natural thing we all need. We all need rest. We all need to be able to recharge our batteries.
But then the other part is, I would say you're being considerate for the other person by saying, I just need to take a night off and rest so I can get back to it again. And
what if, in this scenario, here, Aaron says, I need to rest. I need to take the night off. And Josh goes, no, I need you here. I need you tonight here for blah, 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 blah. And
Now,
Aaron goes,
Aaron's-
no.
That's him being selfish.
That's
'cause
me
he
being
want-
selfish.
Yeah,
So
but
then
he's
he
also
wouldn't be.
he's also being selfish for reason I'm
Alright.
helping you.
But I'm trying to be considerate so I can do better job when I'm rested up.
Well, this contradicts what I said at the beginning of this episode about selfish. There's no black or white. It's just being selfish.
Yeah.
So you really can't have a good selfish. It's a natural selfish.
That's like one of the one times I can see being selfish is good.
Now, I would have to say where I would say this isn't selfish is because if Aaron were to sit there, needs help on the cutlass, and I'm just burnt, rough day at work. Hey man, I know I said I would come over and help you, but I was just cool. Are you okay with me just going home and just taking falling asleep?
Yeah.
And if he says yes, then am I being selfish? No, because I've requested if he would be okay with me what was originally a promise to come over, but because of a day at work, I am now
Broke your promise.
too tired to perform. But
Right.
if he were to turn around and say, no, man, I really need you and I need to get this done tonight,
For the next day or whatever.
okay? I hate definitions.
You hate definitions, and yet you read one off. So this kind of thing came from a book. It's called Grounded: How Leaders Stay Rooted in an Uncertain World. It was released in 2013. And basically, they went around interviewing CEOs and all this about this. And that was the one thing that they said that they are selfish with is their self-health, their mental time, where they take a break and they tell people no. Even though maybe I told you I was going to, or maybe you really need me to help you, I'm out. I'm not doing it for my own reasons. And that reason not necessarily to make me happy, but to make me more effective at what I'm doing by taking rest. So yeah, selfishness isn't necessarily black or white. There is always some gray in everything, unfortunately, which sucks. I don't like a world of gray, but it's something I've learned as I've grown up that there's more gray in the world than one would care to admit.
Can you repeat what you just said again?
Which part?
No, where you started talking about the book. And I don't have a playback button.
Yeah, I know you don't have a playback book, but I'm trying to guess, like, what part do you need from the book? I know.
Well, where it started when you were saying that gray area, what do you say? You were basically saying the book was saying that there is such thing as a gray area.
No,
for
I'm
selfish.
saying there is.
Okay, you are.
Yeah.
The book was about his people.
Like CEOs and that they interviewed and asked them what they were selfish about, and that was the one thing that they were all selfish on was their time, for their own self-care and self-health. I was saying that, unfortunately, there's, at least in this case, it's not black or white. There is some gray, and as I've grown older, I've found that there's more gray in the world than I like. I would like things to be black and white, but that's not always the case.
I think things can be black and white, but because we accept things other than black or white, we allow there to be a gray area. Would you disagree? Would you disagree?
I feel like I'm more on the side of agreeing, but still thinking.
You're still thinking?
Because if we pretty much this episode is pretty much entirely based off of definitions here. We're using these definitions to kind of put our feet in the ground and kind of say where we stand, where we don't stand, and stuff like that. So as time goes on, society molds and changes, definitions mold and change too. So
Yeah, and there's certain things that are black and white, like, and that just coming from, my faith and everything, that those certain things are black and white. But I'm finding there's more and more that's gray, Again, we come back to the euthanasia thing. There's some gray there, You come back to this being selfish. Is that really defined as being selfish or not? I would say kind of, yes, it can be defined as selfish, where you're very selfish with your time, and you may, flat out refuse to help anyone at times because you need to rest mentally or physically or whatever. You just need some time to come back and recharge. And so you may be selfish with your time. There's some gray there.
The area that I see it being hard, being selfish, is a considerate person. Okay, let's say a considerate person. If I ask you to help me and you're just wiped, you need some rest.
I'll tell you no.
Wait, I didn't get there.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you, I'll tell you no.
Tell me no what?
I'm wiped. I'm done.
Yeah, you tell me no, I can't do it.
I'm being selfish with my time. I'm
prioritizing
what I'm going to spend my time and energy on. and I'm going to direct that energy first towards me.
I mean, I guess I can't really. I think what would define it as being more selfish to me is how that conversation goes on. If you come to me and say, "Hey, man, I'm wiped. You cool? You cool if we don't do this tonight?" Being a considerate person, my response should be, "Yeah, man, I think I got someone else I can call that can come over and help me. You go ahead. You get some good sleep, get some good rest. I'll catch you the next day." You really can't see. I don't know. It's just me and how my mind is processing it right now. How could I be so selfish to the point to rob somebody of some well-needed time for themselves to recharge, to relax, to come back? Why do I have that right? I don't have that right. So you really can't.
I'm not saying that you are being selfish as the one asking for it. I'm saying the one, like me in this case, the one who's scheduling my time and telling you, no, I'm being selfish and prioritizing my needs, my rest over your request.
And that's where I'm saying it's more of along the lines of how that conversation plays out in my eyes.
So
if the conversation plays out to where you come out and say, no, I want this, then that's more along the lines of selfishness.
But that's, we don't have to go into the nitty-gritty of that because that could stay in a circle for a long time. Mr. Johnson,
what?
Do you have anything else on doing things?
Nope. I don't.
Because you could talk about it on a micro context, you and maybe one other person, a larger context, you and a group of people, but then you could also do it on a societal context of you and society. What's something selfishly that maybe we're doing, for our own pleasure? Okay, let's take a look at, I don't know, who's been in the news recently? Thank you for smashing your phone there, Johnson. Over from Sweden, 16-year-old girl, climate activist. Brewer?
I know who you're talking about. I don't know her name.
Okay, at least you know who I'm talking about. Where basically she derided everyone at the UN saying, how dare you put profits over the environment and steal my childhood? And that's a whole other conversation on her and whether, her parents are just feeding her words or not, or she's actually this committed to this. I don't know. You don't find that many 15, 16-year-olds that actually committed to things, typically. But where does that draw the line as well then there? Is it selfish to continue to use plastic straws and plastic plates and everything else because it gives you that momentary pleasure to not have to do the dishes?
I mean, that is a fair, and people are lazy. I wouldn't necessarily say that's more on the selfish line, but it is. No. If you put selfish also in questioning of what your time is, then yes, that makes sense because you're not having to get up and clean the dishes and dry them. You're just throwing it away. It's a lazy aspect of it because you have other things that you want to put your time to more than. So that's where I guess I can start to see the whole selfish thing playing the role with time. Definitely.
So then can we have our happiness of extra time by throwing away all of our plates in the context of society then? Because it comes back to that question is, do we just do what we want to do to make us momentarily happy? When you take that to that big macro scale, if you think about all the things we do on a daily basis, how much do we do that we do maybe not necessarily out of convenience, like once in a while, or out of necessity, like transportation to and from work, okay? We're not going to go into the Stone Age idea that some people want to, everyone's going to be riding bicycles to and from work and electric cars at the most, type of deal. And
that's never going to happen.
And then Johnson and his electric motorcycle.
Nope. I'll ride a bicycle.
You'll ride.
As soon as everybody finds out that these climate activists are only preaching for an even more polluted world because of all the steps that you have to go through to make those fuel efficient, those clean burning energy stuff, just to make those things is going to probably do more damage than good. So,
but anyways, in that big macro context is whatever we do then on a daily basis, is that allowable in that? If we're saying that doing stuff on an interpersonal relationship level to just make us temporarily happy, especially if it destroys a relationship on the macro scale, then if we are doing something that might destroy the environment or destroy the city or, destroy, let's say shops downtown. Let's go back to Antifa. Is Antifa being selfish for wanting to destroy businesses that don't agree with them and don't cater to them.
That's just stupid.
What's stupid? What I said or them?
The idea of, with them doing that just because they don't like it. That's just stupid.
And you don't necessarily have to answer it now, but that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about both on the micro, the interpersonal, and then the macro levels.
Mm-hmm.
Because you extrapolate out from this small little thing. What do me and Johnson do that might bring me happiness by making Johnson miserable for a little bit? That's one thing. But on the bigger scale, what am I doing that fits into that same concept? And I think that's probably something we don't think about that often. We just look at it as like, oh, we're being lectured about climate change. We're being lectured about...
We think of it on the macro side.
Well, we think about it in different contexts. So we don't think about it as boiling back down to the whole concept of, am I doing whatever? Paper plates, plastic plates, gas guzzling trucks, whatever. Am I doing that just to be temporarily happy? Or am I doing it for the long-term happiness? Maybe I'm just thinking about it too much. And I extrapolate out beyond where it should be. But that's where my brain extrapolates it too.
I don't know why this came to my mind, but some of the guys in this one group chat always joke around about throwing car batteries in like lakes or oceans as like if it's funny. I like that's pretty bad.
Yeah, especially as they break apart and, car batteries, especially older ones, lead and all that. Look what's happened over in Flint, Michigan, with lead in the water.
There's bad. Yeah, I do know about that. I don't know how that happened. I'm assuming that.
Have you proposed?
Just a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah,
it was a bunch of different things.
It's not. They don't. They just joke about it and they think it's hilarious.
But at the same time, it's like joking about it enough. Somebody's gonna be the stupid one to do it
because it's funny, right?
But they don't think it's funny. They only think of it as, hey, if I do this, the guys would give me a thumbs up. I could probably be in a better spot in the friend group. People might like me more. So it's not necessarily for it's funny because somebody's going to do it for selfish reasons, selfish intents, to get attention, to be
the cool kid.
Exactly. And that's what's probably going to stem out of a situation like that. Car batteries into the lake.
Yeah.
You might as well just pour the car battery in his tub and take a bath. Let's see how well he comes out.
I'll suggest it.
You suggest that unless
the guy who can take a bath with battery acid for 20 minutes wins.
Swim in the pool, I'll tell them to throw one in your pool and just go swim in it for a while.
Yeah, my pool, I wouldn't have a pool. Out of nowhere, I'd look in my backyard. My pool would be to the ground and water would be everywhere. It'll burn right through the side of the pool.
Yeah.
Well,
so that makes me think of another question then.
Uh-oh.
Is the pursuit of social happiness, aka through like the Facebook like and all that buttons, is doing anything for that worth it? People do stupid stuff in the pursuit of getting the most likes or the most shares or the most comments or whatever. Some people are doing either stupid stunts or they're like, oh, look at this new stupid makeup challenge where I make myself look like an idiot on the thing.
Yeah. I feel like that's, I don't know, that kind of stuff is not worth it. Because one, there'll always be somebody else coming out with something else. And then you're not going to be the funny, cool thing anymore. So it'll move on to somebody else, and then you won't be happy anymore because you're not getting the attention. Or if you do something stupid, then at some point it's just going to backfire on you, and people are like, you're actually an idiot. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And then you just ruined yourself.
Yep.
So it's just a desire to, I would say a selfish desire.
Yeah. So doing whatever you want to be happy in the pursuit of clicking might get you in trouble or might be bad.
What's crazy to me is there's a reason why I don't want to live in the city. Okay. Milwaukee, Chicago.
Yeah.
There's a reason why.
Why?
It's because I think too far, too negative into the future. I'll be honest, I do. All these movies come out. What happens to these major cities when a conflict breaks out in them or weather comes in? Last place you want to be is in that city. Because if you're not falling from the top of a building, you're getting crushed by a skyscraper. rocket explodes, just massive destruction. Anyways, you're just talking about, it just made me think of this and kind of explaining why I got there with that thought. The whole clicking thing can be gone in a minute.
Well, funny you say that. Facebook is experimenting with hiding likes.
Well, hiding likes?
You know how people like a post or react to it?
So it shows how many likes they have.
Yeah. Facebook is experimenting with hiding all that now.
Then why have it?
Basically, they're experimenting with getting rid of it.
Good, I guess.
But by a minute, I mean, if we were ever to go to war, major war, EMP missiles are not that hard to get here. All they have to do is find some holes, or if you can shoot enough. Anyways, if an EMP goes off over a city, anything connected to a battery is now fried. So if a country wanted to take down America by taking down some of the biggest internet infrastructures out there, Google and Facebook and Twitter, those are key points of communication. Those are key points of information. Big, multi-million, $100 million companies, $1 billion companies. They, in a sense, could target all their servers, and all those are constantly hooked up. You set off the EMP, boom. There's nothing
Didn't we talk
retrievable.
about something like
You're thinking way too complex there.
No, I'm just.
No. Because they can do something a lot easier. They can take down our power grid.
Oh.
Our power grid is on the internet. It's not as protected as it should be. It's very easy to hack. They could take that down a lot easier than shooting an EMP.
Well, what I'm saying with the EMP is you take down a power grid, you in a sense could reboot that power grid. You set off an EMP, anything connected to a battery, the whole circuitry's fried. You'd have to replace every single component to make it. You don't think data centers are shielded? They are. I don't think they are as good as we think they are.
They're no. In order to be certified, a lot of them have to be shielded against a certain strength. Some of them are in Faraday cages, which means no electromagnetic radiation can enter or leave the building.
But going back, kind of as we went off on a little tangent, going back to the whole thing on having likes and having social attention and stuff. When we starve and we thrive, so many people do that with that kind of thing. And if it were to disappear, they don't know what to do with themselves. It's because they were so self-centered on this immediate pleasure that the internet can give them that when it's gone, they now are a complete mess and they don't know what to do with themselves. So technically,
what are you laughing about over there?
Instagram's down.
Oh,
Please describe your Starbucks cup to me.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. And so when we're looking at this thing of happiness, and with happiness, in my opinion, American definition being immediate pleasures more than anything, we are not in a good spot as a country then. Civilian-wise, we are not in a good spot if that's how we view things, or if that's how we treat things. Not treating things on a longevity aspect and being focused on ourselves more than anything. I'll be honest, you've convinced me. Time is a thing that you can be selfish on. I will say that, because we all do need time to rest. We chemically, we physically, scientifically, we need rest, okay? There's nothing out there that allows us to be able to perform the same without rest, okay? On the long enough, I'm pretty sure there's things in the military, and crazy scientists have built serums that allow you to perform the same after up to 36 hours without, sleep the last 2 days. I'm pretty sure they've done something like that. But longevity aspect-wise, you need rest. But on the other side of things, when it comes to immediate pleasures of doing actions and things that give you that dopamine hit, okay? Because that's what really is. Happiness is not a dopamine hit. As we described before in the beginning of the episode, it's serotonin. It is a longer lasting thing, and it is something that happens as you continue to do things down the road. And what was in an article here? Where'd it go? Yeah, it's a simple article, lifehack.org, written by Dr. Michelle Chappell. Things you should give up chasing no matter what others say. And just kind of going down the list, it's really just allowing yourself to be free from burdens and things like chasing the dream, security. Some of these are a little more chasing money, chasing material things, chasing work, chasing other beauty, chasing youth, chasing approval, love, people. the latest trend, what's possible. I mean, it's just, there's a bunch of things that this lady's saying that you should get rid of in order to, in a sense, achieve a thing of happiness. But
yeah, that list is on basically every website that says how to be happy.
yeah, and so now if we're looking at it as a biblical standpoint, I haven't mentioned this in a while. I guess how I look at it is, if I'm put into the decision how I should be looking at it is, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do in this situation? And that should be our, as Christians, our way of kind of defining between being selfish and not being selfish. You know, would the Lord take some time to sleep? Probably.
Yes, he did.
Yes. But would the Lord also serve to the weakest as well as the most lower people in society? Yes, he went to go work with them. He taught with them. You know, he didn't worry about the bigwigs. He worried about the people on the lower end of the stick when it came to mostly. I mean, I know he did, but anyways. So that's kind of like where I know I need to be put in that is, what would Jesus do in this situation? Because ultimately, he was here for us. He died for us. He was.
There ain't nothing selfish about what he did.
No, except for what Paul was saying before about sleep. You know, he needed rest.
Yeah.
He was still in the man's body, and the man's body needs rest.
I guess, yeah, would you consider that being, that
Selfish,
comes down if you consider it selfish or not.
Again, it also comes down to a definition that we use to break down and the way we break it down. Yeah, I mean, as Christians, that's where I think we should be putting our decisions is before we make a decision, what would Jesus do? Would this build his kingdom?
Yeah.
Would this bring more people to him? Would this, and I guess in a sense, if the whole world had that mindset.
If you think about it.
If you think about it, Paul, the whole world at the mindset.
You're doing so well.
if we had that mindset of constantly looking at other people besides the sleep aspect of it, we really wouldn't have a definition of being selfish then.
It would be a perfect world, which
but
not
it's not, because there is such thing as selfishness. But anyways.
So wait, would you consider being selfish being something that would make you imperfect?
What are the reasons for you being selfish? Are you being selfish to be...
Well, because you're saying if we all had that mindset, it wouldn't be a selfish world. So if there's any bit of sort of selfishness
AKA
in the world,
time
would
thing,
it be?
And that's, if you're being selfish to be, unavailable and you never want to help and all that, yeah, that's bad. But if you're being selfish to the point of, you know what, I need to rest, whatever, that's not a bad selfish.
That's still.
I know
it's don't define it that way.
Okay.
Because I feel like if you're getting rest, it's going to help you.
You can kill yourself if you're not.
Help. Well, there's that side of it, but it's also if you're thinking about, okay, if you want me to do this now, I'm not going to do as well of a job, or I can't do it, maybe period, unless I get this. So it's like at that point, you're thinking out for the person that you're supposed to help, because you can't help them if you're not rested.
Yeah, but what if the person...
that's what it said in the definition is being lacking considerate.
You need to help you.
Yeah,
not
but
them.
But that's helping them at the same time.
Is it helping?
Yes.
You need a ride somewhere, and I tell you I need to rest. But regardless, so let's not get into that again.
Agree to disagree, gentlemen. Yeah. Agree to disagree.
I do.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. But you're saying that
no,
helping yourself isn't helping the other person when it could be.
There are times when it could be, but there are times when it's not as well.
Maybe.
All right.
So, but yeah, I got nothing. I'm done.
You guys agree to disagree on that topic. And I would say I have
Selfishly, I am.
He's good at doing that. Or repeating that.
Anything that I have to say...
I'm good at being selfish? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Wait a minute. You got some beef here that you got to reveal?
No. Josh, keep going.
No, Master Johnson.
I'm not gonna feed you up. So I'm just gonna stay silent now.
Okay, so the last thing I have to say is it comes down to, I've said this several times, it comes down to our definition of happiness. If we put our definition of happiness of more of a selfless not selfish, selfless, a mindset of going towards the future and doing and saying what happiness is in scientific terms is long term, and not relying on these short-lived dopamine released pleasures, then I would say on the lines of yes, it's okay to do things that makes us happy because we're looking towards the long end. We're looking at things because generally when it comes to things that make us happy, they're things that are positive and they will positively influence the people around you. For example, you hear people who go from doing nothing with their life to giving it up, and now they're a missionary over in Africa, and they just love it. They're not concerned about money. They're concerned about speaking to God. They're happy. They're full of joy. Don't have to get into that definition right now, but they're not worried about themselves. They're worried about other people, which is the opposite of selfishness. Is being worried about someone else.
Well, it's
being considerate of someone else.
that one thing I was shocked by is when obviously you hear love and hate. You always think hate is the opposite of love, but then someone is like, they would say selfishness is more so the opposite of love instead of hate.
Yeah.
So I was like,
I
interesting.
probably have to agree with that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, the happiness is just a long term, and usually the things that make us happy in life positively impact someone else. So I'd have to say, is it okay to do things that make us happy for the sake of it making us happy? Yes. But with the idea that it is not an immediate pleasure that we define as happy. That's my end.
All right. Next.
Is it next?
Well, so you next.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, before we get to his, I'm not going to bring up the other. So is your final answer then on the question then no as well? Doing happiness for...
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yes. Yeah, no.
Wait, yes, no. Are you
It's a very
agreeing with me or are you
Wisconsin thing.
disagreeing with me?
I'm probably agreeing with you.
Because I'm saying both.
What?
I'm saying that if someone is saying happiness is immediate pleasures, no, it's wrong. If I'm saying someone is saying happiness is a long-term end goal, because those are the things that tend to actually truly make us happy, even scientifically proven, those are the things that positively impact people around them, yes. It's the definition of what someone chooses to use.
Right.
So you agree both yes and no with me?
I would say so
Yeah.
for now.
Okay.
Until I learn otherwise.
Okay.
For normal people, that's true, I would say. For a serial killer, that's not true. Because what's going to bring them long-term happiness is, the 5,000 bodies under their basement. So in that case, it's not good that they're doing what makes them long-term happy. It's bringing them both immediate pleasure, but it's also bringing them long-term pleasure because maybe they got a little something crossing the head. So I said, for normal people, okay? So before you start going on your thing.
Tangent. No, you're good. You're good.
That's why I was like, I'm stopping you now. Yeah, so guys got nothing else then, I take it then, by that comment?
No.
you
I
don't.
think we are good to wrap
All right.
this one up.
All right. So go ahead and leave us a review on Spotify, on Stitcher, on iTunes, all three of those platforms. Check out our website, uywords.com. Send us an email at uywords@gmail.com. Twitter, UYWords Podcast. Facebook, Use Your Words Podcast as well. And with that, we will go ahead and get on out of here.
Bye.